Good morning everybody and welcome to Kids Church. I hope you've had a fantastic week back at school and already looking forward to Easter, because actually it's only 2 weeks till Easter Sunday, which means you're finishing school in like a week and a half. Madness. Anywho, Kids Church, here we are. Nothing out of the ordinary today. Granny will be coming with a bit of the Easter story for us. Grampy will be coming with some jokes. Who knows what they will be about. We shall have some worship time. So probably a little bit short today, but we haven't actually got some extra things. So that's all good. And then next week, hopefully we'll have some extra videos from people as well. So first up, here is Granny with your story. Good morning everybody, welcome to Kids Church. Hey, whoop-de-doo. Oh, I do love Sunday mornings and coming with you. I've just realised, look, I'm not even tucked in my jumper. Whoopsie. Oh, well, how is everybody today? Back at school, how exciting. I hope that's going well for you all. It's quite quiet here. Yes, when the children are off at school, I actually have time to think again. Very nice. So, today, stories with Granny. I have my rhyming Bible again. And actually, folks, it's time to jump back. Or jump forward, maybe, because we were, if you think back in your little minds, go backwards. We were looking at Jesus's life, and we talked about obviously his birth at Christmas, and then we talked about all the things that he did after that, leading up to basically to Easter, and then silly old Vicky she realised that we'd run out of stories in the rhyming Bible. So for a few weeks we had to go back and do some of the Old Testament. But you know, folks, that's not a bad thing. I've enjoyed looking at Moses and Noah and Joseph. There's something to tell you. Anywho. So I know, don't go typing in your little boxes that I've got this wrong. I know it's not Easter yet, folks. I know. We've got another week and then a week more. It's Easter 2 weeks tomorrow. But what that means is there's lots of little things that happened at Easter, and we can't cover them all on Easter Sunday because we just don't have time in Kids Church. We just don't have time. So this is how we're going to do it. We're actually going to start looking at Easter right now in preparation. This week we're going to talk about the Last Supper. I shall tell you about that. And then next week we shall be looking at Good Friday, and then the following week, which is Easter Sunday, we'll be talking about Easter Sunday. So get your Easter hats on. Maybe this is the moment where you say to your folks, oh, Granny's talking about Easter. We all need to have an Easter egg ready. Might be a little bit early for Easter eggs, but anyway, this is a very serious story. So I'm going to do the rhyme. Let's hope it rhymes. This one, look, here's the pictures. It's got quite a lot of pictures today. Body and blood and bread and wine. Let's see if you already know why that is the title. Jesus' disciples approached him and asked, where should we eat the Passover meal? So Jesus gave 2 of them one simple task. Find a man with a jar. Keep your eyes peeled. And when you have found the man with the jar, then follow him back to his master's place. And when you explain what you've been sent for, the master will show you an upstairs space. I'm struggling with the rhyme still, folks, but that did rhyme actually. So they're showing where to go. Body and blood and bread and wine, given for you a love that's all mine. Body and blood and bread and wine, a supper that lasts till the end of time. Oh, I like that, I do. Here's a message on somebody's phony box. The disciples then did all that Jesus had said, and every detail he told them was right. So they readied the supper, the lamb, wine and bread. But as they were eating, Jesus just sighed. One of you here at this table tonight will betray me before we see a new day. The disciples all cried, Is it I? Is it I? It's one of you, yes, is all Jesus would say. Dear, oh dear. Body and blood and bread and wine, given for you, a love that's all mine. Body and blood and bread and wine, a supper that lasts till the end of time. So this is Jesus again now. One of you putting your hand in the dish, dipping your bread in this Passover stew. I know I must die. Oh dear. Someone's doing something noisy in the room. Who do you think that might be, folks? Hazard a guess. It's not one of the children. No, 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 no. There we go. If it was Grampy, we'd hear him, wouldn't we? We'd hear him with his stick. A blast that dog. I'll tell you, that man does my head in, as Vicky would say, does my head in sometimes. Anywho, let's get back to this. I think we'll do that a little bit again. One of you putting your hand in this dish, dipping your bread in this Passover stew. I know I must die. I know that's God's wish. But woe to the one who makes it come true. So listen to me, he said, taking some bread. And when he had blessed it, he broke it in two. Then passed it to each of them. Take it, he said. This is my body given for you. Body and blood and bread and wine, given for you, a love that's all mine. Body and blood and bread and wine, a supper that lasts till the end of time. He then took a cup, held it up in full view. Here is my blood, he said, fruit of the vine, the blood of the covenant poured out for you. And when he had blessed it, they all drank the wine. Yes, this is my last cup of wine, he said, until in God's kingdom I drink it brand new. And when they had sung a hymn, he led them off to the hills in the deep night's blue. Body and blood and bread and wine, given for you, a love that's all mine. Body and blood and bread and wine, a supper that lasts till the end of time. So, folks, I don't know how much you've connected all these stories, but if you can remember back to Moses, when Moses was trying to free the Israelites from Egypt, there was that moment where God told them all to prepare for the Passover, and they all had their lambs and they had to put blood around the door frames, and it meant that the kind of spirit of death passed over the Israelites, and then they were free after that. And anyway, after that, every year the Jews would celebrate the Passover, and they'd have their lamb, and they would remember this moment, and this is what they were going to have, the kind of Passover meal. So that's what they were preparing for. But for Christians who believe that Jesus died on the cross and rose again on Easter Sunday, we take what we call communion. And when we're talking about Easter, we talk about the Last Supper, because this was Jesus's last supper with his disciples before he was arrested later that night. And he was betrayed by Judas, who kissed him, and he betrayed him. And then Jesus was taken off. And then the following day, which is Good Friday, Jesus died on the cross. He was killed. So we call it the Last Supper. And what Jesus does is he tells his disciples, he tries to explain about the fact that he is going to die, but he is there for all of us. And this wonderful rhyming book even tells us. So where it says body and blood and bread and wine, given for you, a love that's all mine, that's Jesus saying that. Body and blood and bread and wine, a supper that lasts till the end of time. Because Jesus died and rose again, that's it, we're here for eternity. We can have this relationship with God. Isn't that amazing? So I'm going to show you. I'm sure you've heard of communion. We've done it at church. And perhaps if you go to a certain school, they might talk about communion. And all different churches do communions. And I'm going to show you something. So when they talk about the bread, this could be normal bread. Look, I've got some bread here. Or perhaps they have rolls or bread that you rip. This is just a little bit of like a tortilla, or a pita, not pita, what is it, a wrap. And actually the Jews would have had unleavened bread. That means not risen bread. So it probably was more like this, or a pita bread. So we have the bread. So what does it say about bread? Let's have a look. He says, so listen to me, he said, taking some bread. And when he had blessed it, he broke it in two. So let's do that, shall we? Let's break it in two. Then he passed it to each of them. Take it, he said. This is my body given for you. So when we take communion, which isn't, we don't just think about this at Easter. We think about this more regularly than that. You do communion, you take your piece of bread, and what you're doing is you're saying, I'm remembering that Jesus died for me and he gave his body for me as a living sacrifice so that I can have an eternal relationship with God. So we then eat the bread. Yummy. Don't worry though, folks, if you have a gluten problem, there's usually gluten-free bread as well. So that's what we do with the communion. And then there's a second part, isn't there, which is the drink. So the drinks, oh look, I have got one here. There we go. So this represents the blood, right? So some churches might have blackberry juice or squash or wine. I'll let you guess which is mine. And it says, he then took a cup, held it up in full view. Here is my blood, he said, fruit of the vine, the blood of the covenant poured out for you. And when he had blessed it, they all drank the wine. So the covenant. So if you remember back to Noah, see, look, all these stories connect. When we think back to Noah, do you remember that word covenant was used about the rainbow? God basically put the rainbow there to say, I will never flood the earth again. I will never do this again. It was a covenant. It was like an agreement between them. And God, by us drinking the juice, we're remembering Jesus's blood and how he died for us, and his blood was shed for us on that cross so that we can have this relationship with God. So this is all about remembering what Jesus did, his sacrifice for us. And then we have a little drink as we remember and we pray about it. So sometimes children take communion, sometimes they don't, but it's really wonderful to understand why we take communion. And when we hit Easter week on the Thursday, which is it's called Maundy Thursday, that is when they had the Last Supper, and that is when Jesus was arrested. And that is when we think about the Last Supper and we think about Jesus and when he broke the bread with everybody. So Vicky and Richard will be doing a little live Facebooky thing, I don't know what that means, with a communion. So maybe your mummies and daddies, or even you, would like to watch that and take part and get your bread and your juice and remember Jesus dying on the cross for us. Oh, it feels very sombre this morning, folks. There's no Joseph songs for us today. But it is a very, very important part of being a Christian, is understanding Easter and what Jesus did in that build up to him dying on the cross. And then rising? I don't think that's the word, is it? Raising? Being risen from the dead. And so what is wonderful is that we can prepare ourselves, even now, even 2 weeks before Easter Sunday, we can start thinking about the importance of what Jesus did for us. So folks, I'm going to stop. Be really good if your parents aren't watching. It's really good if you can go and talk to them about communion and go and talk to them about why we drink the juice and the body and the blood and what you've just heard today about the Last Supper. It's very important. And I'm sure your parents will know all about it too, not just Granny. No, not just Granny. Anywho, next week we will look at Good Friday, and I think there might be another little party for the primary school children as of next weekend. So everyone at Kids Church, next weekend, I think there might be a party happening. So watch out for your emails, because it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Anyhow, I'm going to stop now. I imagine it's probably time for Stories with Grampy. Oh dear, what's he going to tell us this week? I don't know. Actually, I quite liked his Mother's Day jokes. He was quite funny. Let's see what he can come up with this week, shall we? And I will see you all next week. Toodaloo! Grampy. Geoffrey!
Oh, teacher, what's it? Homework? Hello?
I don't know what is on your mind today.
Goodness me.
Honestly. Makes
Oh.
such a tripe, you do. Full of noise.
Yeah, I thought I was back in my schoolboy days, back in the classroom.
Yeah, I bet that didn't bring many fond memories for you, dear.
Well, I quite enjoyed that time skipping around, larking about.
You always lark about.
Now. So, everyone's back to school now, aren't they?
I do believe so.
And I thought to myself, maybe I'll do some jokes about school, since everyone's back at school.
But I suppose the question, Grampy, is, are they funny jokes?
My jokes are always funny.
I'm not quite sure I agree with that, but we'll see.
Now, we only had pencils in my day. In fact, we only had chalk. But, what did the pen say to the pencil?
I don't know.
So what's your point?
Oh. Oh dear. Oh, we're into those jokes, are we, Grampy? Okie dokie. Give us another one.
How did the music teacher get locked out of the classroom?
Something about the keys.
His keys were inside the piano.
Oh, I almost got that one. Almost.
Hilarious. You know what? When I was a young boy, I'd come home from school, sit round the dinner table, mother and father. My father used to say to me, "What did you learn at school today?" And I'd tell him this and that. He said, "Not enough. That's why you're going back tomorrow."
Grampy, that's not a joke. That just sounds like a story.
But it was funny at the time. Oh, goodness. Well, what object is king of the classroom, I wonder?
I don't know.
The ruler.
Oh. Oh, now, Grampy, that one was amused. That was funny.
Goodness me. Oh.
I liked that one. The ruler. That's a good joke, that is.
Amazing. Oh, dear. So, I got one more for you.
Come on then, you share.
It's another one about music. Why did the music teacher need a ladder?
I don't know.
To reach the higher notes.
Oh.
I wasn't very good at it.
Oh, well, that was a better joke, Grampy, because it makes more sense. Oh dear, you and
Yes,
your
very
jokes.
Funny, very funny. The trouble is, not had many jokes from the children these days. Such a shame. I always like to hear the ones from the young new generation.
You heard it here, folks. Grampy wants to hear your jokes, and to be completely honest, I could do with hearing something other than Grampy's jokes. Oh dear, you know.
Just because you've heard them all before.
I was going to say, Grampy, well, some of these are new to me, but you do love to tell me a little anecdote now and again.
Just like to say the odd one or two jokes.
Keeping the spirits alive, eh?
That's it, yes, warming the heart.
Well, Vicky and Richard are quite boring at times, aren't they? Bit too serious for us.
Well, we survived the roast dinner from last week, so that's okay.
Yes, we did. I thought you were going to say we survived the war.
We survived that too, dear.
We did. What was harder, surviving the war or surviving that roast dinner from Richard?
Sometimes I think I'm in the concentration camp being here.
Oh, Grampy, that is a silly joke.
Oh dear. Anywho, see you next time.
Oh, Grampy. Off it goes. That's it. We've lost him again. Tell you, folks, we can't get much out of this old fella anymore. Oh, dear. Now he's snoring. Oh, heaven forbid. Okie dokie, everybody. I think that's it for Grampy's jokes this week. Oh, please get your videos in. I think we could probably do with hearing something a tad more funny than his jokes. Let's see, shall we? Toodaloo.
Garden watered by your grace, endless color hidden in this place, beauty deeper than my eyes can see. I can feel it coming alive in me, with a little love, joy and peace, patience, kindness changing me, with a little goodness make me whole, faithful, gentle, self-control. I'm coming alive, with the fruit of the Spirit inside. I'm coming alive, with the fruit of the Spirit inside. Life is a garden where you sow the seed. Every season you are all I need, growing stronger in the warmth of love, and your light that's shining down from above, with a little love, joy and peace, patience, kindness changing me, with a little goodness make me whole, faithful, gentle, self-control. I'm coming alive, with the fruit of the Spirit inside. I'm coming alive, with the fruit of the Spirit inside. These are my 9 days. I wanna live your way, with the fruit of the Spirit inside. These are my 9 days. I wanna live your way, with the fruit of the Spirit inside. These are my 9 days. I wanna live your way, with the fruit of the Spirit inside. These are my 9 days. I wanna live your way, with the fruit of the Spirit inside. With a little love, joy and peace, patience, kindness changing me, with a little goodness make me whole, faithful, gentle, with self-control. I'm coming alive, with the fruit of the Spirit inside. I'm coming alive, with the fruit of the Spirit inside.
That is the end of this week's Kids Church. We hope you had fun with us. I hope that you learnt something new, and maybe there's some interesting things from what Granny was talking about that might lead to some conversations over lunch with your families. We hope that you are nice and quiet so mummies and daddies can actually watch adult church now. and we'll see you next week. Please send in videos of what you're up to or jokes. We'd love to see them. Hopefully you'll either have received an email or you're going to get one soon about a kids party for Easter, which is uber exciting, and that's going to be next week. So if you watch this space, because the email will be coming if it hasn't already, and all the information about that. So that's really cool. I think that's everything. So enough from me. Have a fantastic day, have a fantastic week, and we will see you next week.